Did you put those new threads on the carton?
No, what's the kunja? Because the others are useless, and she made them so that we know if someone's stolen them, we can track them down a bit.
Yeah,
so we've got those cards, so you don't take those away. You're not going to take those cards away, are you? Otherwise, they'll get you down to you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. I'm with you.
My phone. No.
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare
Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
So how do we end the nice prayer? What do we say in the end of the prayer?
Jai.
Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada. So after such an enlivening Kirtan, it's nice to read one of the most beautiful parts of the Krishna book.
Thank you.
And this beautiful part is chapter 46, page 388. Are we correct there? Good. But before we start reading, we have a song. And the song goes as follows. Krishna, 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 Hey.
Krishna, 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 Hey.
Krishna, 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 Hey.
Krishna, 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 Hey.
Krishna, 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 Rakshama.
Krishna, 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 Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Parimam.
Krishna, 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 Krishna,
Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rakshama. Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Krishna, Keshava, Krishna, Keshava, Krishna, Keshava, Parimam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Gauri Premananda, Hari Hari Bol, Jai, Krishna book, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And the chapter is called Uddhava Visits Vrindavan, page 388. Nanda Maharaj returned to Vrindavan without Krishna and Balaram. He was accompanied only by the cowherd boys and men. It was certainly a very pathetic scene for the gopis, Modi Yashoda, Srimati Radharani and all the residents of Vrindavan. Many devotees had tried to make adjustment to Krishna's being away from Vrindavan, because according to expert opinion, Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, never goes even a step out of Vrindavan. He always remained there. The explanation of expert devotees is that Krishna was actually not absent from Vrindavan. He came back with Nanda Maharaj as promised. That's also not possible, because if he doesn't leave, he cannot come back. Anyway, but he actually never came back because he was already there
Yes, you can't return to wherever you never left. If you never left, you can't return to it.
Wow, you're such a
You
logician.
started, you
Yes.
did.
No, I wanted to say something else. Because normally speaking, what I read from the Krishna book is actually he didn't leave Vrindavan because in the river he changed places.
In the river.
When he left Vrindavan with Akruta, when he bathed in the river, he changed places. So a manifest. No, it's not. It is a slight of body actually. It's like transcendental body. There was a slight of emanation there. You can speculate.
So when the crew went off, he went with Krishna, but then the real Krishna jacked off back to Vrindavan. He jacked off. He jettisoned back. He packed off back. Jet skied. He jet skied.
Alright. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So this was then a little intermezzo. The point is more actually that. So actually, Krishna really didn't leave Vrindavan, so he didn't have to come back also. But of course. Oh. Look at that. It looks like a little Caesar. Alright. Okay, so let's keep on going because like this it will never get to the end of the book. That's good. When Krishna was starting from Mathura on the chariot driven by Akruta and the gopis were blocking the way, Krishna assured them that he was coming back just after finishing his business in Mathura. He told them not to be overwhelmed and in this way pacified them. But when he failed to come back with Nanda Maharaj, it appears that he either cheated them or could not keep his promise. The expert devotees, however, have decided that Krishna was neither a cheater nor a breaker of promises. Krishna, in his original identity, returned with Nanda Maharaj and stayed with the gopis and Mother Yashoda in his Bhava expansion. Krishna and Balaram remained in Mathura not in their original forms, but in their expansions as Vasudeva and Shankarshan. The real Krishna and Balaram were in Vrindavan in their Bhava manifestation, whereas in Mathura they appeared in their Prabhava and Vaibhava expansions. This is the expert opinion of advanced devotees of Krishna. Not mine, so.
No.
Externally, however, they were absent from Vrindavan and therefore Nanda Maharaj was preparing to return to Vrindavan. There was some discussion between men and boys concerning how they could live in separation. The conclusion to separate was reached by mutual agreement.
Vasudeva and Devaki, who happened to be the real parents of Krishna and Balaram, wanted to keep them now because of the death of Kamsa. While Kamsa was alive, Krishna and Balaram were kept under the protection of King Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan. Now, naturally, the father and mother of Krishna and Balaram wanted them to remain specifically for the reformatory function of purification, the sacred thread ceremony. They also wanted to give them a proper education, for this is the duty of the father. Another consideration was that all the friends of Kamsa outside Mathura were planning to attack Mathura. For that reason also Krishna's presence was required Krishna did not want Vrindavan disturbed by enemies like Dantavakra and Jarasandha. If Krishna were to go to Vrindavan, these enemies would not only attack Mathura, but would go on to Vrindavan, and the peaceful inhabitants of Vrindavan would be disturbed. Krishna therefore decided to remain in Mathura, and Nanda Maharaj went back to Vrindavan. Although the inhabitants of Vrindavan felt separation from Krishna, the resulting ecstasy bhava caused them to perceive that Krishna was always present with them by his lila or pastimes. Since Krishna had departed from Vrindavan and gone to Mathura, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, especially Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, Srimati Radharani, the gopis and the cowherd boys, were simply thinking of Krishna at every step. They were thinking, here Krishna was playing in this way. Here Krishna was blowing his flute. Krishna was joking with us in this way. and Krishna was embracing us like this. This is called Leela Smarana, and it is the process of association with Krishna most recommended by great devotees. Even Lord Chaitanya, when he was at Puri, enjoyed Leela Smarana association with Krishna. Those in the most exalted position of devotional service and ecstasy can live with Krishna always by remembering his pastimes. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given us a transcendental literary work entitled Krishna Bhavamrita, which is full with Krishna's pastimes. Exalted devotees can remain absorbed in Krishna thought by reading such books. Any book of Krishna Leela, even this book, Krishna, or our teachings of Lord Chaitanya, is actually solace for devotees feeling separation from Krishna. 390. It's the first paragraph.
Okay. That Krishna and Balarama did not return to Vrindavana can be adjusted as follows. They did not break their promise to return to Vrindavana, nor were they absent, but their presence was necessary in Mathura. In the meantime, Uddhava, a cousin brother of Krishna's, came to see Krishna from Dwarka. He was the son of Vasudev's brother and was almost the same as Krishna. His bodily features resembled Krishna's almost exactly. After Krishna returned from his teacher's home, he was pleased to see Uddhava, who happened to be his dearmost friend. Krishna wanted to send him to Vrindavana with a message to the residents to pacify their deep feelings of separation. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatma mam pratyante tams tathaiva bhajam aham. Krishna is very responsive. He responds in proportion to the devotee's advancement in devotional service. Thus, as the gopis were thinking of Krishna in separation 24 hours a day, so Krishna was also always thinking of the gopis, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and the other residents of Vrindavana. Although he appeared to be away from them, he could understand how they were transcendentally aggrieved, and so he immediately wanted to send Uddhavana to give them a message of solace.
Uddhava was described as the most exalted personality in the Vrishni dynasty, being almost equal to Krishna. He was a great friend of Krishna's, and being the direct student of Brihaspati, the teacher and priest of the heavenly planets, he was very intelligent and sharp in decision. Intellectually, he was highly qualified. Krishna, being his very loving friend, wanted to send him to Vrindavan just to study the highly elevated, ecstatic, devotional service practiced there. Even if one is highly elevated in material education and is even the disciple of Brihaspati, he still has to learn from the gopis and the other residents of Vrindavan how to love Krishna to the highest degree. It was Krishna's special favor to Uddhava to send him to Vrindavan with a message for the residents there, which was meant to pacify them. Lord Krishna is also named Hari, which means one who takes away all distress from the surrendered souls. Lord Chaitanya states that there cannot at any time be a worship as exalted as that realized by the gopis. Being very anxious about the gopis' grief, Krishna talked with Uddhava and politely requested him to go to Vrindavan. Shaking Uddhava's hand with his own hands, he said, "My dear gentle friend Uddhava, please go immediately to Vrindavan and try to pacify my father and mother, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Devi, and the gopis. They are grief-stricken as if suffering from a from great ailments. Go and give them a message. I hope their ailments will be partially relieved. The gopis are always absorbed in thoughts of me. They have dedicated body, desire, life and soul to me. I am anxious not only for the gopis but for anyone who sacrifices society, friendship and love and personal comforts for me. It is my duty to protect such exalted devotees. The gopis are the most dear. They always think of me in such a way that they remain overwhelmed and almost dead in anxiety due to separation from me. They are keeping alive simply by thinking that I am returning to them very soon.
Perfect timing.
Look at that.
Sorry.
Page 391. That's amazing.
Requested by Lord Krishna, Uddhava immediately left on his chariot and carried the message to Gokul. He approached Vrindavan at sunset, when the cows were returning home from the pasturing ground. Uddhava and his chariot were covered by the dust raised by the hooves of the cows. He saw bulls running after cows for mating. Other cows with overladen milk bags were running after their calves to feed them with milk. Uddhava saw that the entire land of Vrindavan was filled with white cows and their calves, running here and there all over Gokul, and he could hear the sound of milking. Every residential house in Vrindavan was decorated for the worship of the sun god and the fire god, and for the reception of guests, cows, brahmanas, and demigods. Every home was sanctified by lights and incense. All over Vrindavan there were nice gardens filled with flowers and the sounds of humming, bees, and singing birds. The lakes were filled with lotus flowers and with ducks and swans. Uddhava entered the house of Nanda Maharaj and was received as a representative of Vasudeva. Nanda Maharaj offered him a sitting place and sat down with him to ask about the messages from Krishna, Balaram, and other family members in Mathura. He could understand that Uddhava was a very confidential friend of Krishna's and therefore must have come with good messages. My dear Uddhava, he said, how is my friend Vasudeva enjoying life? He is now released from the prison of Kamsa, and he is now with his friends and his children, Krishna and Balaram. So he must be very happy. Tell me about him and his welfare. We are also very happy that Kamsa, the most sinful demon, has been killed. He was always envious of the family of the Yadus, his relatives. Now, because of his sinful activities, he is dead and gone along with all his brothers.
Please let us know whether Krishna now remembers his father and mother and his friends and companions in Vrindavan. Does he like to remember his cows, his gopis, his Govardhan hill, his pasturing grounds in Vrindavan? Or has he now forgotten all these? Is there any possibility he's going to come back to his friends and relatives so that we can again see his beautiful face, with his raised nose and lotus-like eyes? We remember how he saved us from the fire, and how he saved us from the great snake Kalya in the Yamuna, and how he saved us from so many other demons. We simply think of how much we are obliged to him for giving us protection from many dangerous situations. My dear Uddhava, when we think of Krishna's beautiful face and eyes, and his different activities here in Vrindavan, we become so overwhelmed that all our activities cease. We simply think of Krishna, how he used to smile and how he used to look up at us with grace. When we go to the banks of the Yamuna on the lakes of Vrindavan, or near Govardhan hill, or the pasturing fields, we see that the impressions of Krishna's footprints are still on the surface of the earth. We remember him playing in those places. because we are constantly visiting them. When his appearance within our minds becomes manifest, we immediately become absorbed in thoughts of him. We think, therefore, that Krishna and Balaram may be the chief demigods in heaven, who have appeared before us like ordinary boys to execute particular duties on earth. This was foretold by Garga Muni when making Krishna's horoscope. If Krishna were not a great personality, how could he have killed Kamsa, who possessed the strength of 10,000 elephants? Besides Kamsa, there were very strong wrestlers as well as the giant elephant Kuvalayapida. Krishna killed all these animals and demons just like a lion kills an ordinary animal. How wonderful it is that Krishna took in one hand the big heavy bow made of 3 joined palm trees and broke it very quickly. How wonderful it is that for 7 days continuously he held up Govardhan Hill with one hand. How wonderful it is that he killed all the demons like Pralambasura, Denakasura, Arishtasura, Tranavarta and Bhakasura. They are so strong that even the demigods in heavenly planets were afraid of them. But Krishna killed them as easily as anything.
Who's that? Pralamba Asura? Would you explain?
Pralambasura is the demon that decided to infiltrate the boys' camp. Yes, the boys, and by playing the role of a little coward boy. Yes, and he was thinking, okay, coward boy is a koeherte jongen.
How do you know he is who he is?
Yeah, well, I don't know, he may be Pralambasura right here. So Pralambasura he was thinking Krishna is too powerful. So let me start with his brother. And so they played a tug of war, yeah. And then he lost, and the losers, Pralamba lost. The losers had to carry the winners on their shoulders, and so he picked Balaram on his shoulders, and ran off track, I suppose, and kept going, but. Yes, and Balaram was like, okay, this is weird, this is getting strange, and then he started to increase his size, if I remember correctly, and took his original form, which is like humongous. And you remember Balaram and what happened next? Then he was on the shoulders of Balaram and smacked him. I don't know what the ear,
On the head.
On the head, yeah. Gave him a good blow. Finished. One blow.
Brains and blood.
Oh, here it is.
Look, this is Pralambasura.
On top of the demon, and boom!
Racked his head out.
Goodbye, demon.
One blow.
Bathed in his blood. Brains and teeth.
You have it also in that book here. So I think Papa will show you. Okay, so we continue reading in the meantime. At least we think. Is it there still? We there?
We're still there.
Yeah. Okay. So we think, therefore, that Krishna and Balaram may be chief demigods in heaven, who have appeared before us like ordinary boys, to execute particular duties on earth. We already read that.
Oh yeah.
Okay. You don't say anything, eh? So nobody's paying attention here. What's going on? Okay, so one paragraph further. While describing the uncommon activities of Krishna before Uddhava, Nanda Maharaj gradually became overwhelmed and could not longer speak. As for Mother Yashoda, she sat by the side of her husband and heard the pastimes of Krishna without speaking. She simply cried incessantly, and milk poured from her breasts. When Uddhava saw Maharaj, Nanda and Yashoda so extraordinarily overwhelmed with thoughts of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, And when he experienced their extraordinary affection for him, he also became overwhelmed and spoke as follows. My dear Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, you are most respectable among human beings, because no one but you can meditate in such a transcendental ecstasy. Uddhava continued, Balaram and Krishna are the original personalities of Godhead, from whom the cosmic manifestation emanates. They are chief among all personalities. Each of them is both the material and efficient cause of this material creation. Material nature is conducted by the Purusha incarnations, who all act under Krishna and Balaram. By their parental representation, they enter the hearts of all living entities, and they are the source of all knowledge and all forgetfulness also. This is confirmed by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter. I am present in everyone's heart, and I cause one to remember and forget. I am the original compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the actual knower of the Vedas. Uddhava continued, if at the time of death a person can fix his pure mind upon Krishna, even for a moment, after giving up his material body, he becomes eligible to appear in his original spiritual body. Just as the sun rises with an illumination, passing from his life in this way, he immediately enters into the spiritual kingdom, Vaikuntha.
Christine, would it be okay if I close the window?
Yes,
Yeah.
some paragraphs.
You want some hair?
Hair.
Hair. You want some hair?
Some hair.
Some hair. It's air.
Hair.
And you said hair. You say hair.
Look at
Would you stay here?
I say hair. Is that hair? Can't see.
This is the result of Krishna conscious practice. If we practice Krishna consciousness in this present body, while in a healthy condition and in good mind, simply by chanting the holy Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, we will have every possibility of fixing the mind upon Krishna at the time of death. But if we keep our minds always absorbed in fruitive activities for material enjoyment, then naturally at the time of death we shall think of such activities and again be forced to enter material conditioned bodies to suffer the threefold miseries of material existence. Therefore, to remain always absorbed in Krishna consciousness was the standard of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, as exhibited by Maharaj Nanda, Yashoda and the gopis. If we can simply follow in their footsteps, even to a minute proportion, our lives will surely become successful and we shall enter the spiritual kingdom, Vaikuntha. By my dear mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, Uddhava continued, you have thus fixed your minds wholly and solely upon that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, whose transcendental form is the cause of impersonal Brahman. The Brahman effulgence is only the bodily rays of Narayan and Balaram, and because you are always absorbed in ecstatic thought of Krishna and Balaram, what pious activity remains for you to perform? I have brought a message from Krishna that he will very soon come back to Vrindavan and satisfy you by his personal presence. Krishna promised that he would come back to Vrindavan after finishing his business in Mathura. This promise he will surely fulfill. I therefore request the two of you, who are the best among all who are fortunate, not to be aggrieved on account of Krishna's absence.
You are already perceiving his presence 24 hours a day, yet he will come and see you very soon. Actually, he is present everywhere and in everyone's heart, just as a fire is present in woods. Since Krishna is a super soul, he regards everyone equally. He sees no one as his enemy and no one has... He sees no one as his enemy, no one as his friend, and no one as a lower or higher than him. He actually has no father, mother, brother, or relative, nor does he require society, friendship, and love. He does not have a material body like us. He never appears or takes birth like an ordinary human being. He does not appear in higher or lower species of life, like ordinary living entities who are forced to take birth on account of their previous fruitive activities. He appears by his internal potency just to give protection to his devotees. He is never influenced by the modes of material nature, but when he appears within this material world, he seems to act like an ordinary living entity under the spell of the modes of material nature. But, in fact, he is the overseer of this material creation, and while remaining unaffected by material modes of nature, he creates, maintains, and dissolves the whole cosmic manifestation. We wrongly look upon Krishna and Balarama as ordinary human beings, just as whirling men see the whole world whirling around them. The personality of Godhead is no one's son. He is actually everyone's father, mother, and supreme controller. There is no doubt of this. Whatever is already being experienced, whatever is not being experienced, whatever already exists, does not exist or will exist in the future, whatever is the smallest and whatever is the biggest have no existence outside the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything rests in him, but he is untouched. But he is untouched by everything manifested. Amen.
Krishna ging Kamsa eer doodmaken, maar Ram ging eerst Hanuman ging Kumba doodmaken en Ram ging Kumbhakarna doodmaken. Ja. Nee, jij.
Nu ik. Okay. Yes. Nanda and Uddhava thus passed the whole night discussing Krishna. In the morning, the gopis prepared for morning aarti by lighting their lamps and sprinkling butter mixed with yogurt. After finishing their Mangal Aarti, they engaged themselves in churning butter from yogurt. While the gopis were thus engaged, the lamps reflected on their ornaments made the ornaments still brighter. Their churning rods, their arms, their earrings, their bangles, their breasts, everything moved, and kunkuma powder gave their faces a saffron luster comparable to the rising sun. While making sounds by churning, they also sang the glories of Krishna. The two sound vibrations, mixed together, ascended to the sky and sanctified the whole atmosphere. After sunrise, the gopis came as usual to offer their respects to Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, but when they saw the golden chariot of Uddhava at the door, they began to inquire amongst themselves, what was that chariot and to whom did it belong? Some of them inquired whether Akrura, who had taken away Krishna, had returned. They were not very much pleased with Akrura because, being engaged in the service of Kamsa, he had taken lotus-eyed Krishna away to the city of Mathura. All the gopis conjectured that Akrura might have come again to fulfill another cruel plan. But they thought, we are now dead bodies without our Supreme Master Krishna. What further act can Akrura perpetrate against these dead bodies? While they were talking in this way, Uddhava finished his morning ablutions, prayers and chanting, and came before them.
Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 46th chapter of Krishna. Uddhava visits Vrindavan. Chapter 47. delivery of the message of Krishna to the gopis. When the gopis saw Uddhava, they observed that his features almost exactly resembled those of Krishna, and they could understand that he was a great devotee of Krishna's. His arms were very long, and his eyes were just like the petals of the lotus flower. He was dressed in yellow garments and wore a garland of lotus flowers. His face was very beautiful, having achieved the liberation of Sarupya, and thus having the same bodily features as the Lord. Uddhava looked almost like Krishna. In Krishna's absence, the gopis had been coming dutifully to visit Mother Yashoda's house early in the morning. They knew that Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda were always grief-stricken, and they had made it their first duty to come and pay their respects to the most exalted elder personalities of Vrindavan. Seeing the friends of Krishna, Nanda and Yashoda would remember Krishna himself and be satisfied. And the gopis also will be pleased by seeing Nanda and Yashoda. When the gopis saw that Uddhava was representing Krishna even in his bodily features, they thought he must be a soul completely surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They began to contemplate, who is this boy who looks just like Krishna? He has the same eyes like lotus petals, the same raised nose and beautiful face, and he is smiling in the same way. In all respects, he resembles Krishna, Shyamasundar, the beautiful blackish boy. He is even dressed exactly like Krishna. Where has this boy come from? Who is the fortunate girl who has him for her husband? Thus they talk among themselves. They were very anxious to know about him, and because they were simple, unsophisticated village girls, they surrounded Uddhava. When the gopis understood that Uddhava had a message from Krishna, they became very happy and called him to a secluded place and offered him a nice seating place. They wanted to talk with him very freely and did not want to be embarrassed before unknown persons. They welcomed him with polite words in great submissiveness. We know that you are a most confidential associate of Krishna, and that he has therefore sent you to Vrindavan to give solace to his father and mother. We can understand that family affection is very strong. Even great sages who have taken to the renounced order of life cannot give out family affection cent per cent. Well, sometimes they think of their family members. Krishna has therefore sent you to his father and mother. Otherwise, he has no further business in Vrindavan. He is now in town. What does he have to know about Vrindavan village or the cows' pasturing grounds? These are not at all useful for Krishna because he is now a man of the city.
He's a city man. City man. Krishna is a city man. City man.
Surely he has nothing to do with persons who do not happen to be of his family members. Friendship with those outside the family continue as long as there is some selfish interest in them. Otherwise, why does he bother about those outside the family? Specifically, a person attached to the wives of others is interested in them as long as there is need for sense gratification. Just as bumblebees have interest in flowers as long as they want to take the honey out of them. Technically, they're not taking the honey. Technically, they're taking the pollen, but we let it go. It's true. It is psychologically very natural that a prostitute does not care for her paramour as soon as he loses his money. Similarly, when the citizens find that a government is incapable of giving them full protection, they leave the country. A student, after finishing his education, gives up his relationship with the teachers and the school. A priest, after taking his reward from the worshippers, gives him up. When the fruit season is over, the bird's no longer interested in the tree. Just after eating in the house of a host, the guest gives up the relationship with him. After the forest fire, there is a scarcity of green grass. Deers and other animals give up the forest. And as soon as a man, after enjoying his girlfriend, gives up his connection with her, in this way, I know it's terrible. In this way, all the gopis indirectly accuse Krishna by citing many examples. Uddhava understood that the gopis of Vrindavan were all simply absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and his childhood activities. Bye guys, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Bye, go, bye. Slap well.